coaching baseball and softball and why we're failing. Hey, what's going on? It's Joey Myers from the Hitting Performance Lab, and in this coaching baseball and softball video, we're going to go over one of the principles to the science of successful learning. We're going to talk about three different things. The first thing we're going to discuss is the myth of mass practice to long-term learning. Then we're going to talk about the fine art of variance as a teaching tool. Then we're going to talk about how to infuse variance in your hitting practices. But first, let's talk about the myth of mass practice to long-term learning. So what is massed practice? Basically, it's trying to turn a weakness into a strength, whereas if you're going to work on a specific hitting concept like hitting the other way, you would have your coaches and your pitchers throw the hitter away so that the hitter can practice in mass, working on hitting that pitch the other way. But the problem with that is that in the games, even though we might have a specific probability maybe that the pitcher is going to be throwing away, that's not always the case. And a lot of times you're going to get meatballs over the inside corner of the plate even though the pitcher's trying to go outside. So things are so varied. There was a study that was done with the Cal Poly baseball team, Cal Poly University. They split the hitters into two groups. Group A hit 15 fastballs, 15 curveballs, and 15 changeups. Mass practice. Group B got everything varied. They didn't know what was coming, so they hit whatever the pitcher threw at them. And the results were, even though Group A during batting practice did better immediately, Group B did better throughout the season because they were varying pitches. They were practicing like they were going to play, and then they played like they were going to practice. So let's go into the fine art of variance. The fine art of variance. I know keeping things varied at practice might sound like a no-brainer, but it's not. I've fallen victim to mass practice too. It's because we're taught to strengthen weaknesses. A study mentioned in the book Make It Stick by Peter Brown split up a class of grade schoolers into two groups. Group A practiced throwing beanbags into a bucket 3 feet away, whereas Group B practiced throwing beanbags into two buckets, one 2 feet and another 4 feet away with no 3-foot bucket. At the end, they were all tested throwing beanbags into a 3-foot bucket. Any guess who did better? Group B. Why? Their brain had more points of reference to pull from. Throw a little farther than 2, but less than 4, whereas Group A had only one option. Now let's get into how to infuse variance into hitting practice. Here's an idea for tee work. Now this is set up for a right-handed hitter. This is an outside pitch. And what coaches can do to vary their tee work is to set the ball up out here, change the height of the tee every swing, or change the tee over to the inside pitch. So you're going to take the tee and put it a little bit more out in front in this front ball marker. This is where my hitters get their front foot to, and change the up and down of the tee. So that's how we can vary the tee. Now let's take a look at varying footwork for forward momentum. All right, here we can use variance as a tool for forward momentum and getting the foot where it needs to go, almost like the beanbag toss study that we talked about a little earlier. So this would be a drill. We could either break it apart or we can put it together. I'm breaking it apart here, just getting the hitter to the fight position. But they can vary up, making that connection with the brain and getting to each marker. We want the marker to cut the front foot in half. Our main game marker is going to be here. These are going to be our dummy markers. Let's take a look at on the back foot what we do. All right, same idea here with the beanbag toss study, but we're doing this with the back foot. Now what we want to do is, I'm putting a whole swing into this one because this is actually more in the final turn. So the first one, I was getting to this marker. Now this is our dummy markers are on the outsides. This time we're not trying to get to the yellow dimple. So this would be the one where we want to get them to in the game so that they don't jump the foot too far and not allow them to get more drive behind the ball, get a better angle back up and towards the catcher. So we can do the same thing here as we did with the front foot.